Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hi, my name's Matt. I've been a, excuse me, I've been a tattoo artist for 25 years. I even have the shirt that tells you I am. See, isn't it cool? Yeah. Anyways, I've been an artist for most of my life. I'm middle-aged, kind of an old head, so that means I've been doing this a while. But I wanted to make this channel just to kind of give you guys some insight, some ways to help you keep sane, or if anything, just a new way of making you think about things. And one of the things I wanted you to think about, talk about, whatever, is who was your first art teacher? Yeah, your first art teacher. Who was it? Because I don't think it was, whoever your elementary art school teacher was. Could be. I'm just saying. I don't think it was, your junior high art teacher who started giving you all those basics and making you do still lifes and drawing bowls of fruit and all of that stuff. I don't think it was them. I want to talk about that first thing that lit a spark under you, that made you go, oh, damn, I really want to do this. I want to make my own mark in the world. I want to be an artist. That's your first teacher. Yeah, your first. And I mean, it's going all the way back. And that's usually that first little blip in your artistic DNA. And we can go all the way back. I'll use myself as an example because, well, if you guys want to talk about your first art teachers, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. I think it's cool to listen to anybody's art journey. So, yeah, I said journey. Sorry, it's cheesy as shit. It still bugs me. But I can't think of a better word. If y'all think of a better one, please let me know. I will happily start using that. But let's talk about it. I mean, seriously, as a kid, you all drew. Everybody draws. I don't know very many children that don't like drawing and making things. Even if it's a stick figure or little rocket ships. My kid makes little bitty monsters. I mean, we all do it. We all draw as a child. And none of them are ever really any good objectively. To us, they're fucking masterpieces. But as a kid, they're not objectively what you would call technically proficient. There's a better word for it. But what's crazy about it is we're just making it as a kid. We don't care. We're making bad art constantly. And we don't worry about it. Ever. It's never about whether it looks good. It's more about just having fun. It kind of links back to that old quote by, I think it was Picasso. And please, let me know if I'm wrong. If you know who actually said it, I will take your word. But, But he said something, and I'm going to paraphrase and probably butcher it. So please, don't be mad at me. I'm trying my best here. But he said something about spending your whole life learning how to draw like an artist. And when you finally figure out how to draw like an artist, you spend the rest of your life trying to draw like a child. And that sits with me because, again, it comes back to you're just making bad art and having fun with your friends. Or, with that little girl or boy or whatever across the table from you. You're trying to impress them or show how cool you are. None of it is about technical proficiency. It's just about having fun. And, man, somewhere, I can't... And it's always kind of a weird spot But you kind of get to this point where, oh, how to put it? I have a script here and I'm still having a hard time. Some point you stop drawing all that stuff because you want everything to start looking real. And when you start wanting it to look real, that's when your art teachers kind of start coming in. And that's when they start changing the way you draw to make things work, be right, or technically proficient. But I'm not talking about the physical teachers. I'm talking about the teachers that weren't people. Yeah, kind of a cool thought, right? For me, it wasn't, it wasn't people. It was comic books. It was old album covers. My dad was loved all the Southern rock albums. Loved all of that kind of, I guess, that 70s rock and roll stuff. And man, the album covers on those were just amazing. Beautiful pieces of illustration a lot of times. Either that or it was hokey covers of guys with long hair and beards. Yeah. Oh, God. Anyways, I I remember seeing and I can never remember the name of the painter, and please tell me because I would love to know. But the cover for Jethro Tull's Aqualung sticks with me, and just man has stayed with me my whole life. But what really stuck out to me was Molly Hatchet. Yeah, I know, hokey ass band, but man, admittedly, they had some awesome music. If you've never heard of Molly Hatchet, by all means, go look them up. I I'm not the biggest fan, but man, they had two album covers specifically that just stood out to me. One of them was the album for Flirtin' with Disaster, and the second one was just self-titled Molly Hatchet. And that's where I got introduced to, Frank Frazetta. And that man really changed the way I looked at things. I didn't know it yet because I was a little kid at this time. But that burned into the back of my head. And I've been chasing that dragon since I was a little kid. But I found out later as I got older that the Flirtin' with Disaster album cover was an illustration of the character Kane by Carl Edward Wagner. And books aren't that good. They're okay. They're kind of rip-offs of Robert Howard. But man, that Kane cover was insane. And like I said, I saw it on a 12 by 12 vinyl, and it just blew me away. Same with the self-titled album. Found out later that was The Death Dealer that we all know and love. If you follow illustration at all, you know what Death Dealer is. But anyways, it was standing still, but holy crap, it just moved. And it knocked me on my ass. And it burned into the back of my head, and it's still back there. And then I was a little kid, and one of my cousins left for the military and left a old steamer trunk full of comics. This was back before the days of the long boxes and the bagged and boarded and all of that. They were just stacks upon stacks upon stacks of comics. And it was all just old golden age, silver age gems. And I got to read a lot of really cool stuff. And I didn't know it, but the art was kind of clicking back here somewhere. the dynamism, the way they moved, the use of black, the use of, foreground, midground, background values still sticks in the back of my head. And that stuff kind of clicked into my DNA. And as a kid, I was drawing horrible superheroes. And I was drawing horrible barbarians and warriors and dragons and all of this stuff. But then somewhere in there, and that's also, taking lessons, learning basics in, junior high, or well, not even junior high. God, this was back in like grade school. I was always wanting to be an artist. I got in trouble for drawing in classes and not paying attention. I'm sure I'm not alone in this. But in junior high, well, late elementary, early junior high years, I got a library card. And one of my friends told me, hey, you got to go check out this book. It was written by Stan Lee. And it was How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. And my library had a dog-eared, beat-up old copy of that book. And my God, I think between me and maybe two of my friends, that book was never in circulation in our library. And it was a school for me. It was an absolute school. Because, I mean, look at that. Yeah, I have always kept a copy of this book somewhere on my person since I was a kid. But you can see everything you want to know about perspective. At least quick and dirty perspective rules. Quick and dirty, how to draw figures, dynamism. It's all in there. Now, if y'all want me to go through this book, please let me know. Oh my God, that would be like a treat for me to sit there and gush over that book for you. Because holy crap, you can learn a lot out of that one book. And that book was my school. I obsessed over it. Man, my copies are a lot cleaner now, but the ones I had as a kid, I would sit right next to it and try to draw like John Buscema. And Stan wrote it, yes, but John Buscema did the heavy lifting in that book. And the man was an amazing artist. Excuse me, a masterful storyteller. Anyways, I'm going to keep going. But I can sit and talk about that stuff for hours. But what I'm getting at is my brain became its own Frankenstein monster working off of this stuff. This became my visual DNA as a child and as a young adult and as an adult and as a middle-aged man. All of this stuff is still in my DNA. It has created this crazy ass Frankenstein's monster that's stitched together from everything that I've ever looked at. So we've got comics, we've got Frank Frazetta, Boris Vallejo, I've talked about him before, Jack Kirby, old D&D books. There's some D&D artists that are just forever in my heart and forever in the back of my head. And all of that stuff, even the clumsy, gross, horrible drawings that we make as kids, all of that stuff is in my DNA as an artist. And that's my style. That's my art style. And I love it. I absolutely love having my own art style. But what makes this all even more beautiful is no matter what my art style is, no matter what your art style is, even if you're looking at the exact same shit I'm looking at, you're going to be different. There's going to be similarities, but your style will be your style. And it won't really look a lot like mine. And that's what I think's so beautiful about it all. Everybody has their own distinct voice. Now, you're probably going, oh, those are just influences. And you're right. You really are. But I like calling them teachers more because, man, honestly, influences sound sterile. They sound kind of like a dusty old academic talking about shit. Influences are your teachers, whether you know it or not. They're the ones telling you how your art should look. They're the ones finding those problems and solving them in a way that pleases you. And then you get to solve the problem of figuring out how they solved that problem. So you're always taking from them. You're always learning from them. You're always figuring out how they did what they did. And you can trace, you can copy, but it doesn't really matter how you do it. But you need to study them. That's how you make it yours. By studying and learning their tricks. And then making your own mistakes trying to figure out their tricks will create your style. Yeah, you sucking. I come back to this a lot. You sucking is how your style works. It's sucking with nuance. I've said that before. But all of that comes back to creating who you are as an artist. Your visual DNA, if you want to call it that. Your style, if you want to call it that. Your voice, if you want to call that. But they're your teachers. And those guys are your first teachers. So, yeah, technically, your first teacher might not even be a person. It might be a comic. It might be an album cover. It could be just this beat up old book in the back of your library. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that it lit that spark. It lit that spark underneath you. And that spark is what you carry forward. That's what keeps you going when everything looks like garbage. That's what keeps you drawing those rocket ships and those stick figure superheroes and your horses and your monsters until you start figuring out how to make them your own. And I mean, let's be honest, that's what makes your art look unique. Your Frankenstein's monster is not going to look like mine. Mine's not going to look like yours. And that's such a wonderful thing. That's the point of it. That's the point of influences and experiences. So I'm going to have to cut this out here in a second. So I just want to go back to, as always, get out there, make your bad art, embrace that suck, and learn from those people who taught you, even if they don't know you exist. Anyways, that's the end for me. Get out there, make everything you want to make. If you like the video, wherever the subscribe button is, click it, ring that bell, and just to see who got this far, comment your favorite comic book character as a kid, not currently, as a kid. And anyways, have a great week. Get out there, be nice to people, be kind, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye.